Hello everyone, welcome to Learn with Dummy. In this video, I'm going to help you get started with Databricks and PySpark to prepare for the Databricks Data Engineer Associate certification and beyond by following topics from the exam guide. So what we're going to do. So the structure of the course will be that I'm going to pick from this exam outline the topic. So today we're going to talk about section 2, ELT with Apache Spark. So I'm in my Databricks community edition. How you set up, you log in from their website. Once you are in, you need to set up the compute. It's very straightforward. You create compute, you give some name, and in few minutes it will be ready. For me, it's already ready. So purpose of this working sheet, we will dive into this notebook to get hands-on overview of the key topics covered in the exam, designed to boost your exam readiness. With Databricks, one thing I found, it's practice, practice, practice. So this practical hands-on project-based Databricks notebook will help you to prepare for the exam. Now, as I mentioned, set up the Databricks Community Edition account. So you should be here where I am. Now, as I mentioned, we will pick one topic. So first we go through here. So going to take about extract data from a single file and from a directory of files. So the first question is that where is the data? To read the files, we need the files. So what we're going to do, we're going to extract the data from the website. So we're going to go to New York Taxi website and we're going to download. So here I have downloaded January and February files. So if you run this script, you will be able to download the file. Now, in Databricks, when you download the file, it will go to temp folder. From temp folder, we need to copy the file to file store, which is DBFS, Databricks file storage. Once we do that, we can see the files are downloaded. So here we can see the files are downloaded in a file store. So I have three files. One is for January, one is for February, and one is lookup. Now lookup is here because in the data you will see that there is only location ID, pickup location ID, and drop off location ID, which doesn't make much sense. So we need to give some names to it. So reference table has a names for the location ID. Now, in Spark, data entry point is a data frame. No matter where the data source is, in Spark, it starts with the data frame. Always remember that. Data entry point, we're going to read the Parquet file because we have downloaded the Parquet file here. But please remember this, I know I'm repeating, in Spark, data entry point is data frame, no matter where the data source is. So in real world, the data could come from CSV files, from the business, come from data warehouses, CRM, API, wherever. But in Spark, when we start with Databricks, the entry point is a data frame. So we go back to our topic, extract data from single file and from directory. So here we're going to do the directory. So if you see, this is my directory. And I have three files here, but because it's a Parquet, it makes sense to read only Parquet files and read the CSV separately. So how do we do that? So we create a path. This is the Python. If you know the basic Python, you will know that we need to create a variable with the path. And this is the one way of reading it. So it's very straightforward, spark.read.parquet directory path. and this will give us the file. Now, there are a couple of ways to read. Now, I'm not sure how they're gonna ask in the exam, but in exam, we will have a 5 options as it says here. It's a multiple choice question, so we assume that there will be 5 questions and like 5 answers or 4 answers, and we need to pick the right one. So this is the way we read the file. So this is the format. So Spark is a Spark session, but Databricks creates the Spark session, so we don't need to worry about it. So spark.read, and then the format Parquet, and then load. Now, when it's the Parquet file, we don't need to do anything. We just say this. So there are 2 ways. You see, the one is that dot read and dot load. And this is the one we looked at it up as well. It's just a straightforward, but focus and practice on this one. This will be the easy one. We need to remember. So this is reading from directory. Now we coming to the CSV. So now CSV JSON has a bit different way of reading it. It needs a bit more coding. So this is the file, as we know, this is the path. And when we read, it remains the same read format CSV. We need to define the options because Parquet don't have any header, but CSV has a header. So we need to say header true, and we need to say schema, infer schema true, and then the file path. So we need to remember this 4 code, practice, practice, practice. Now, this could come in the exam as well. When we want to create a custom schema, we define the custom schema, but then we need to say schema as well. If you have come across or worked with CSV files, we have a comma delimiter, we have a semicolon delimiter, tab delimiter, so we can do, these are the 8 extra. We can do it, but in this one, we're not doing it at the moment. So this is just, we need to practice this and remember. So this is the file output. Now, so that's covering extract data from a single file and from a directory of files. The next one is identifying the prefix included after the from keywords as a data type. Now, this is not really a common practice. Usually, when we work with the data, so starting point, as I mentioned, in Spark is a data frame. We read the file and we upload to the database. Now, when you look at the catalog, there is default database, but I don't have any tables here. But usually we upload the data here and then we read it from there. However, it seems like in Databricks we can read the tables in this format. So identify the prefix included after the from. So this is what we need to look for. So in this scenario, if you see, this is coming from my file store. So instead, there are another way of reading this in SQL, but this is one way of reading it. I don't know why they put it in an exam, but I never seen the way reading this. But anyway, they're asking us. So this is what we need to see: Parquet dot. So if, say, for example, if this is the question, or if you see in a real world, what we need to see that the prefix included after from keyword data type is Parquet. Here I have a 3 examples. So here, as we can see, if this was the question in exam, or if you see anywhere, we know the data is coming from S3 because it's S3. Here is ABFFS container Windows, so we know it's coming from Azure Data Lake. This is JDBC MySQL. So here we can say the data type source is MySQL. So that's that. Now the third one is create a view, a temporary view, and CTE as a reference to a file. So we saw in here that we're selecting star from file, so it's direct reading the table. However, what they're asking here, create a view, temporary view, and CTE. Now, as we seen before, that the entry point in Spark Databricks is data frames. Now, to switch to SQL, we need to create or replace the temp view. So that's the question. So that's the topic here, temporary view. So what we do, this is the DF. Now DF, we probably remember that this is the DF we created when we were reading the file. This is the DF. So this is our main DF for a Parquet file. So what we're doing here is a very simple one-letter code. So this is what we need to do. When we want to switch from DF to SQL view, we create or replace temp view. So here it will create my text-item. Now this is just the query, just I'm running the query to see that it's working fine. So this query works fine. So I know that my Yep. Okay. Sorry about that. Now in Databricks, creating a permanent view directly from a temporary view is not allowed, which is a bit strange because when you work with PySpark in a local instance or somewhere else, it's allowed. Instead, we need to create a permanent view from a data frame directly without using a temporary view. So let's correct the process by creating a permanent view for a data frame. So here, so if in exam or in real world, if you have to switch to SQL from data frame, this is how you do it. But in Databricks, so we done that. So we need to look for this word, create or replace view. There would be that kind of options. Now the perm view, so it's now to create a perm view, we need to have a database. Now here you see that in catalog, I have a default database, but what I have decided to do, I want to create a new database named New York Taxi Data, because that's where I'm going to work. So I'm going to run this command. So create database, and then I'm putting here that use New York Taxi data database. So whatever I do here now, it will read and write to that database because I have explicitly said use. Let's see the magic here. So you can see that has created a new. So this is just a database. We're not creating. So here we're just running the code. If anything is there, it will delete it. Now this is the one that create a view. So view means create a perm table. So this is how we do it. So df write format delta. Now when you have heard so much about delta lake house or delta lake, so delta is nothing but the format. Like here we see there is a Parquet format, there is a CSV format. Delta is just the format. So in our New York Taxi database, it will be written, the table will be written this NY taxi monthly history table will be written as a delta table. So when I run this, so if you have seen that in first section we were looking at how to read, and we were giving the same way, like df.read.format. Here we say df.write.format. So we just writing. So this is where it's create a view. So we created a temporary view. This is we creating a view, like a permanent view. So let's have a look here. So here we can see we have the table created. So it should come up. Yeah. So it came up. So there is a schema and there is a table. Going back to my sheet again. Now, this is refreshing a bit slow. So that's the permanent view. So we created one table for a permanent view. Now CTE means common table expression. So it's just a simple way to write the long code. It's just a better way to write the code. So you can look up online what CTE means, as we just doing it practically. This is not a technical session. This is more of a practice about the topics. So look for a CTE definition, what it is, and then come back here and practice. Now, what we're going to do, we created the table. Now we're just reading it here just to make sure it's there. Now we're creating a second table, the reference table, because creating a second table will help us to understand CTE in a best way. So this is the lookup table. We created CSV file read, and then this is the file. Now again, we're doing the same thing. We writing this table as a delta format, as a name ny taxi location underscore reference. So this is the reference location table. It should run very quickly. So let's have a look. When we go to catalog, we can see that taxi location reference table is here as well. Okay, so I'm just here. Just taking its time to refresh. Come on. Okay. So now this is the CTE. So CTE start with. So ny taxi data is. So ny taxi data is the name we creating from this query. Then location underscore lookup is select. Now here you can see I'm just selecting these two columns. That's what CTE does. It simplifies the queries and then help us to do more transformation. We can have anything here. We can have where statement. We can have group by. We can have order by. Any transformation you want to do with SQL data, you can do it here. And then, so we do it here, and the result of this will go into nytexc data, and then we do for location lookup, and anything we do, the data will go here, and then we take the result out of two. So we go select A and select B and inner join. So in exams, they will give us code like this, and we need to identify what is the correct code to write the CTE. So this is it's always start with. When is the we need to make really sure when you're creating second city underneath is comma. That's why I have created two tables to show you. So, and then we just write with once, we don't write every time. So if there was a third one here, for example, say test s, so that's it, we don't write with, and we join here. So this how, so when we look for a, when we working with the city in real world, we need to make sure this is where we write, and that's about it. So that covers the create view, temporary view, and CTE. The next one is identify the tables from external source are not delta lake tables. Very straightforward. Now we have in our catalog, we see we have a nytexc monthly history table. Now, how do we know what format it is? So it's very simple. So the answer in the option should be describe detail. So describe detail table will tell us the format is delta. Here I will show you differently. So this is the practice again. So read the file. So we're reading the file, just January file. As you know, probably remember, it's the Parquet I'm doing. It's a format Parquet, load file and display. And then I'm writing it back as a Parquet format, not Delta format, you see. So here we can write back to Parquet format. And when I run this, of course, it's not defined. It's because to run this, it's the new session I have created. So I should have ran it before, but it's okay. Already exists. Probably it says it's already exists. So let's see. Don't need to compute, it doesn't exist, but anyway. So what we will do, we will just rename it something else and see we can bypass that error, or I can drop that table as well in real world if it's a this is this is the syntax. We can try this to see if it lets me. If it doesn't like that, we can try above and see if it lets me drop. I don't think so it's going to work, but just gonna try. Says cannot be found, so displaying, this is displaying fine. Right, Parquet, let's try V2. If it's like it or not. It did like it. So here, NYTech CV2, we got it here. So when I go V2, so this is the main focus for us. The main focus was to see the format parquet. So it says format parquet because I have saved here, and it says delta because I saved this delta here. So just to sum up, delta is nothing but just the format of the file. So if you save table as a delta, it goes into delta lake, and Databricks has a better way or efficient way to working with delta format than Parquet format or CSV format. So there you go. We covered create a table, identify the tables from external sources are not delta lake tables. So next one, I will be covering create a table from JDBC connection and from an external CSV file. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and it will help you to get started with Databricks and Spark. And if you are on a journey to finish or attempt Databricks Certified Data Engineer Associate Certificate, this will hopefully help you to get started. Thank you so much for watching. Good day.